Hey BookTube, welcome back. I'm Winx, and the ink I'm talking about today is the Beyond the Cover book to film blogathon. This blogathon was put together by Now Voyaging, and I got an invite to participate, which was very exciting. I will put a link to the blog post announcing the blogathon below, so you can go and check that out, and the rest of the blog as well, because it's very fun. And yeah, so as the name implies, everyone involved in this will be blogging or vlogging about a book that was turned into film. And what's neat about this is that basically the one rule is that everyone should have a unique adaptation to talk about, so there will be no two posts that talk about the same book to film adaptation. And yeah, so that's kind of exciting. And I was a little bit worried at first because I'm not a big film buff, so I thought for sure like everything that I felt like I could talk about would be taken already, but luckily this was not the case. So I signed up to talk about a Sherlock Holmes series which aired in the 80s and starred the amazing Jeremy Brett as Sherlock himself. So this series was made by Granada, and like I said, it aired in the 80s. So I discovered the show about 10 years ago, give or take, and at that point I was already a Sherlock Holmes fan and kind of a picky one when it came to film adaptations. If the film version of Sherlock and the other main characters didn't blend with the image that I have in my head of those characters, I just wanted nothing to do with the show or the movie, and I would just drop it. But when I discovered this particular series, it was magical. Just everything in the show totally aligns with the image that I have of all the characters. The general feel that I have when I read the books is totally mirrored in the show, and Jeremy Brett just does an amazing job of capturing Sherlock. He looks like Sherlock to me, he acts like Sherlock. I heard many other Holmes fans agree with this when I say that after watching the series and rereading the books, I will just forever see Jeremy Brett in my head whenever I'm reading Sherlock or the Mary Russell Sherlock books. Just Jeremy Brett is Sherlock. Done. The other main thing I love about this series is how it handles the secondary characters, specifically with Dr. Watson, Mrs. Hudson, and a little bit with Inspector Lestrade. One of my biggest pet peeves with Sherlock film adaptations is how Watson is handled. So Watson is smart. He's a doctor, he's a surgeon, and he was a surgeon in the war. I mean, like, he actually took a bullet. This guy is hardcore. And just because he's not this super mega genius like Sherlock doesn't mean he's the kind of person that you would see in the infomercial that like tries to crack an egg and somehow breaks a window or something. He's got it together, and this should be acknowledged. And you know where that is acknowledged? The Granada series. In this series, Watson is shown as an intelligent, competent doctor. What's more, we see that he is actually studying Sherlock's methods, and he's learning, and he is contributing to the cases. And you see how Sherlock values him, not just for the fact that he's learning his methods, but also for the caring, compassionate person that Watson is. You can just really feel the friendship between the two. There are scenes where they get each other laughing, and I just, you can't help but smile at it. It just feels so real, and it makes me happy every time I watch it, and yes, I really enjoy how that's handled. Then with Mrs. Hudson, I really like how she has a strong presence in this series. She is this tiny lady, but she's not to be messed with. And even though Sherlock can be one of the most annoying tenants of all time, you can tell that she does love him, and you can see the connection between all three, her, Watson, and Sherlock. And I really like the strength and depth that we get to see a bit in her character in this series. And then last is Lestrade, and Lestrade is shown as being kind of bumbling and obviously not very good at his job. I actually prefer the Lestrade character in the current BBC series of Sherlock. I feel like it's sort of similar with Watson, where he is a competent police officer, just not a super genius like Sherlock. But I thought that the Lestrade in this series kind of helped illustrate the times a bit. There were a few moments in this series where Sherlock and Lestrade were basically having an emotional moment but not feeling able to properly express it just because of how Victorian society viewed emotional displays. And just seeing their interactions was really interesting to me, and it just made me feel a lot for the character of Lestrade, and I felt kind of brought some extra depth to the character of Sherlock in this particular show. But again, I like Lestrade in the BBC series better, but I think there were still some unique aspects to the Lestrade in the Granada series, which was very well done. So those are my thoughts on the Granada Sherlock Holmes series starring Jeremy Brett. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Are you with me and love Jeremy Brett, or is there a version of Sherlock that you prefer? Yeah, definitely let me know. Don't forget to check out the Now Voyaging blog in the description box below. And then please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hope everybody's having a good weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye!